Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Gifts from the Edge podcast. I am absolutely exhausted as I am recording this because I've just got back from 2 days on camp, mentoring a whole bunch of young people. We had a fantastic time, and normally I would not, get off 2 days camp and then jump onto a podcast, but I just feel really strongly like I need to do this. I need to air this episode now because at the end of the camp, I came home, I had a quick shower, got ready. My wife said, we've got to go see this film. I didn't know much about the film. It's called Sounds of Freedom, and coming out from it, I just sort of felt somewhat stunned about the content that's in the film. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. But my mission is to co-create success stories and to start telling those success stories more. That's something I really want to start to do more in my business, is to start telling the success stories that either come through the business or just emerge with partners that we've got in the work that they are doing. And so, Gifts from the Edge is all about telling stories of people who have come back from a wilderness, heartbreaking, difficult, challenging time, and they have something to share. And this movie just captured that. It was a powerful film. It was the story of two young children who were abducted and sold into slavery. And it's also the story of Tim Ballard, hope I've said that right, played by Tim Ballard. And it's just a powerful film. And coming out, I just thought, what can I do to help tell this story? So number one, I'm going to put a link where you can go and watch a preview of the film. I might even put just the YouTube official trailer on my blog page, so you can watch a trailer of the film. Hopefully that's enough for you to go and check it out for yourself and get stirred for you to take some action in this area as well. But I also wanted to, I've been thinking about doing this for a while. I've been thinking of taking some of the awesome content that I've got on the Blueprint podcast and reusing it here, resharing that information on the podcast here for the Gifts from the Edge, because, just retelling those stories in a different way, because they are awesome stories. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put an interview that I had with Ross Nancarrow. Ross is the CEO of Every Daughter Matters, which is an organization dedicated to stopping human trafficking. They're based on the border between Nepal and India. They set up a whole bunch of booths that capture usually young women, but sometimes young women and young boys right at the brink of when they're just about to be sold into slavery. They've learned how to look for the signs and stop that thing before it happens. They have partnerships with the authorities there in Nepal, and they're able to stop young girls from being sold into slavery. They're also doing some amazing work, training the church there in Nepal, bringing hope to hundreds and thousands of people there. So I thought that I would share the interview with Ross, and I'm going to put a link for you to connect with Every Daughter Matters. If you watch this film and you're looking for a way to do something powerful, to change the lives for hundreds, possibly thousands of young girls, and stopping this rife, when you watch the film, you will see just how bad it is, this rife problem that we have in the world of slavery. There's a phrase that pops up at the end of the film that says there is more people being sold into slavery right now in our world than ever before in human history, including when slavery was legal. So, we've got to do something. We've got to change this. And so, I'm just going on a whim here, just going on an impulse to share this message from Ross. And I hope that you enjoy it as much as I enjoyed connecting with Ross. I've connected with Ross a number of times since then. He's been a mentor to me. He features in my book. Particularly in the romance chapter, because he helped to coach us through some tough times. He's just an awesome guy, and so I really want to share his message with you, but also give you the opportunity to see the powerful work that him and his team are doing, and give you the opportunity to get behind them. So let's hear from Ross. All right, we might jump straight into it. I just want to ask you a little bit about your background. We've been doing, some mentoring, some coaching. You've been mentoring Sophia and I, and it's been fantastic to be in that relationship. I feel very blessed to be in that relationship with you. But I'd like to know a little bit more about your background, like how you got started in the work that you're doing, how you got started with Every Daughter Matters. Can you just sort of give us a bit of a background on that?
Yeah, sure. So I came to faith at about 25 years old, and probably within about 3 years of that, started to look at where we might be involved internationally in mission. And so we were with New Tribes Mission. We joined them, the Bible College missionary training with them for about 25 years. And over the course of that, I was involved in mobilization largely, but then also in a leadership capacity. I was their national director for about 10 years. And we left New Tribes about 10 years ago, moved to India. And from India, we started to see just needs in other parts of the world, and particularly into Nepal. And so we started to do some work up there and do some ministry in training people and helping getting the Nepalis getting churches established. Over the course of about 6 or 7 years, we were hearing all of the stories of trafficking and some horrific stories that really challenged us. And we wanted to do something, but probably not until 2 years ago, we started to partner with some wonderful, wonderful people up there. And that's the key to some of that international work. So we partnered with our pastor, Yubaraj. He's been working in anti-trafficking for about 12 years. And that gave us the confidence to step into that space. So we created the organization Every Daughter Matters, really to support his work and to facilitate Nepalis standing on the border and stopping human trafficking. There's about 20,000 Nepalis trafficked every year. And so we really wanted to make a difference in that space. And yeah, that's what we're doing. So we're right in it now. It's pretty full on. Yeah.
Yeah, sounds amazing. Can you tell us a bit more about the problem? I mean, tell us a little bit more about what actually goes wrong. Like how does it happen?
Sure. So the challenge is it comes about through multiple places. Nepal as a country, it's many, many thousands and thousands of isolated villages. And of course, without education, there's some real challenges there. In Nepal, about 30% of the women and girls are literate. The religious system, which creates real inequality within the people groups within the country, and that's a problem. Easy money for the traffickers. And many think it's just the men who are trafficking girls. It's not. Actually, the majority of traffickers these days are women, because women are trusted more and the girls will trust them. And for the traffickers, it's really getting them across the border from Nepal into the neighboring country there of India. And from there, they're trafficked into the brothels of India, into slavery, or into the Middle East, Pakistan, Bangladesh, even here to Australia. So that's kind of, a little bit of what causes that problem.
So tell me about Australia. I guess most people like me are oblivious to a lot of what goes on in Australia. Can you tell us a little bit more about how the problem, reaches our shores?
Certainly. Um, the big picture challenge with that problem in Australia is because of the attitude or the government's approach to prostitution. So we've seen that in nations, Western nations, that legalize or turn a blind eye to prostitution in their countries, it opens the doors to traffickers. The bad guys are able to set up a brothel and launder all the money that they want through that. And then, of course, the next part of that is girls who are vulnerable, girls who are at risk, and really getting them there. Recently, I was in Perth, and one of the things that shocked me was seeing a poster on the wall in a large market, a large shopping centre in Perth. And the photo said, where can you get help? And basically, it was a helpline for people who had been trafficked. It had a line up there defining human trafficking, as people getting money through coercion or different things like that. And it had a helpline for people who are in a trafficking situation. Now, this is in a shopping centre, a major shopping centre in one of our cities in Australia. That kind of poster doesn't go up unless there's an obvious need.
So the expectation is that those people are going to be walking around the shopping centre.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
And they've been coerced. Maybe somebody's holding their passport. Maybe somebody's threatening their family. Whatever things are there, they've got some kind of coercive hold on people, and therefore put them into a trafficking scenario.
Yeah. So this podcast is all about success and living an abundant life, and I guess we're digging into the opposite end of the spectrum a little bit today. So I'm just wondering, how do you define success? Both for, I know this is a big question, but how do you define success for yourself and for some of the people that you mentor and disciple here in the West? And how do you then define that or translate that for, that success in inverted commas for people in Nepal?
Yeah, well, that's a big question, Andrew.
Yeah.
Let me start with defining success, I guess, first for myself. I guess I look at success in terms of congruence. Congruence with who I am, congruence in having peace with myself, peace with God, and peace with other people. To me, that's the foundation stone, if you like, of anything that's going to be successful. Without those things in place, I really don't feel that our efforts, regardless of what we think we achieve, are actually going to make a big difference. What's the point of being the richest guy in the world if you're not happy? You don't have peace with yourself if you don't have peace with God, or you don't have peace with other people around you. Excuse me. So I guess personally I define success in that sense. As we transfer that into across the oceans and up into a country like Nepal, I think of success in giving options and choices to people who don't have choices, who don't have options, who many times don't have a voice for themselves, so that they can make a choice. Whether that choice is to be able to choose their religious beliefs or not, or a choice of who they'll marry or not. Nepal, again, is a country where there's a lot of arranged marriages. And for many girls, the idea of running away with the boy of their dreams across the border and having a love marriage, man, that's attractive compared to the alternative of the parents arranging a marriage with somebody they don't love, they don't care for, and really knowing they're going to have to work really, really hard all of their life and have little joy. So there's some of the challenges that are faced up there, but they're also the things that speak to us. We want to give people an option. We want to give people the choices that we hold so dear here in Australia. Many freedoms that our forefathers fought for and desired to be in place in Australia, the freedoms that we enjoy today, they're not just for us, Andrew, they're for everybody across the globe. And if we believe in those freedoms, then fundamentally, with congruence, we've got to be able to believe those things for other people as well.
Yeah, well
That's what
said.
drives me. That's what I think of as success. We'll be successful when we can provide those kind of options, those kind of freedoms to disadvantaged people groups, particularly like in Nepal.
Yeah, no, well said. And I love that concept of congruence and flowing consistently from the inside out, and not just stopping when we've kind of achieved it in our own lives, but sharing that as far as we possibly can, and not sort of resting until we've done our best to share that with the world. So I love that. That sort of brings us to the other aspect of what we talk about here on the Blueprint, which is education. How do we expand this this abundant living? How do we share it to other people? Can you tell me a bit about the strategy for Every Daughter Matters? Like, what's your approach? How do you make a difference there?
Certainly. So we establish people having a presence in the travel centres, that is the bus parks along the border of Nepal. So we put booths in the bus centres, the bus parks, and put trained counsellors within those booths. A booth is simply a location that can be recognised as people who are standing against trafficking. Our counsellors then have access to the buses that are going through on their way to India. We connect in with the local police, the local government, local business owners and things like that. And our counsellors will literally get on the buses as before they're about to pull out and cross the border. And they'll spot potential or vulnerable girls and women there and start a conversation. They're trained and they know what to pick up very quickly. And if they think somebody's in a trafficking scenario, they can quickly tell that and start to inform them. Are you aware that you're perhaps being about to be trafficked and sold into slavery or prostitution? An obvious question there is, who are you traveling with? And they point to a guy or a woman over here, and then she gets up and runs away. Well, it's a pretty obvious scenario.
Alarm bells right there.
They're not always that obvious. So from there, the girls are able to, if they're not able to go back to their family for whatever reason, we've got emergency shelters and there's emergency accommodation where we continue that education and the training and bringing awareness of human trafficking and the various aspects of that. Some of the girls are then able to be reconciled back to families, some are not. Some are handed on to the police for further investigation and prosecution in anti-trafficking. And then for a number of the girls, we provide a safe home environment, which is longer-term accommodation, 4 to 6 months. And we put together, in fact, I've just been working this week on a whole course that our guys are putting together to train the girls in their identity of who they are, in understanding their legal rights, in understanding some of the options that they have. And then along the way, we train them, skill training, areas of sewing, it might be screen printing or something else. And then we seek to set up micro enterprise projects and set up the potential, those girls with maybe a sewing machine, where they're able to set up their own business and break the poverty cycle and really make a difference back into their communities. But all of that is education. It's taking girls who really don't know their value. They certainly don't know their value and their worth before God. So speaking about their identity in that perspective is a big part of that training. Giving them education in regard to their human rights, regardless of what rights they have or have not had in the past. They do have an intrinsic human right. And we really want to emphasize that for these girls and give them a sense of dignity, give them a sense of hope that they can actually make their own choices in life and have options in life. Many of them have come from scenarios where they don't have options, they don't have choices. They feel trapped into an environment where they've got few options at all.
Yeah, that's so good. It's amazing to be able to offer that, that level of freedom that we just take for granted here. So that's so special. I know that as an organisation that you've recently achieved tax-deductible gift recipient status. Is that how
That's
you say it?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah. So
Yeah,
particularly for that area of Every Daughter Matters.
yeah.
But we also have great needs in terms of, training more counsellors and putting more people along that border.
Hmm.
Actually, I'd like to set up a wall, Andrew, right along that 1,700 kilometre of open border. That'd
Yeah,
be good. But without a wall, we'll just try and put more counsellors along there and more locations and a presence to interrupt evil and to, stop trafficking.
yeah. Awesome. So, guys, if you're listening to this and it's striking a chord with you, it's hitting home that this is something that you would like to do something more about. If it's stirring that aspect of congruence that Ross spoke about earlier, and you feel that this is something that you want to be a part of, Ross, how can people find out more about what you guys do and, get involved either through tax deductible donations or, some other way?
Yeah, thank you. The easiest way is to go to our website, www.everydaughtermatters.org.au. We've also got a Facebook presence and Instagram and all of that. But the website is probably the most straightforward way to get involved, and you can make donations through there to either the COVID appeal or to any of the work of Every Daughter Matters to stop human trafficking in Nepal.
And there you have it, one of my favorite episodes from the Blueprint with one of my favorite people, Ross Nancarrow. He's a mentor who has made a big difference in our lives. He's also obviously making a big difference with the work that he's doing over in Nepal with Every Daughter Matters. And I hope you enjoyed that interview. And just like any other coaching session with me, there's a call to action. There's something that I would like you to do. Two things, actually. And number one is to watch the film, Sounds of Freedom. That's what motivated me recording and relaunching this episode in the first place. It's a stirring film. It's out in cinemas now. You really need to go and watch it. As they say at the end of the film, seeing it in a cinema is a different experience to watching it at home. You're watching it as a community, and I think get stirred as a community to do something about the challenges that are out there. And number two is to click on the link below on my blog where we have a link to Every Daughter Matters. You can have a look at the most recent stuff, the amazing work that they are doing. That interview with Ross was recorded a couple of years ago, so they've gone even further since then. You can sign up for their newsletter, which I'm a subscriber to, and they send all sorts of information about what's going on, the difference that is being made. And if you're impacted by what you see there, you can become a partner with them, become a person who makes a difference in the lives of young people over there in Nepal. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. Make sure you go and do those 2 action steps right now. Bye for now.